How we doing there, boys and girls? Manthieus here, and welcome back to another video. I've been a little absent on YouTube for a little while. I apologise about that, but with 10.0.7 landing, it's time to get back into the game and start making some gold. And today I've got a bit of a doozy for you. It's quite time sensitive, so if you're watching this video a good time after the video has been released, I suspect that the prices of everything will have very, very heavily changed. This is an early days, the early bird catches the worm type of opportunity, so act on this one relatively quickly. We're talking about Zul'Gurub. Everybody in 10.0.7 is, primarily focused on what's going on the Dragon Isles and is spending most of their time in the Forbidden Reach. They're running around, they're killing rares, and they're, if you happen to be a jewel crafter, hunting down forks, believe it or not. But the point is that most people's focus is elsewhere right now, where actually I feel one of the best opportunities for gold making, probably one of the best opportunities we've had for a long time, is actually located in Zul'Gurub. Zul'Gurub is an old dungeon now. It used to be a raid, and is located in Stranglethorn Vale, which is at the very southern part of the Eastern Kingdoms. It's a dungeon. It's a heroic only dungeon. That will come into place certainly. But there's a bunch of new stuff that's been added, which has been out of the game for a long, long time. Anytime something gets reintroduced to the game, it brings a lot of eyeballs to it on the basis that what we're actually talking about is patterns and in turn transmog and appearances. And there was some really cool stuff from back in the days. Now, you may notice that I'm sporting one of the more better known mounts from this zone. Unfortunately, this is not the topic of today's conversation. This fella is still only available on the black market auction house, but there are some other goodies to be had. So I want to give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough of what you might need to do. Now, the very first thing to know with this is that you can't just stroll in here, start killing stuff, and expect to make millions of gold. There is a few steps you have to go through, and I thought about trying to put it together in video form, but I realized that, well, Wowhead has actually put together an article on this that gives you a step-by-step, and it's much better than I could quickly throw together in video form. And because it's time sensitive, I thought it's better to just give you a link straight to this post. So there are some new secrets. We're going to be running through Zul'Gurub. The TLDR is that you have to take a level 70 character into Zul'Gurub. You have to firstly go and pick up a Shattered Hikari Bojo from within the dungeon itself. You go aggro the main dude, the main boss, the end boss of the dungeon. Once you get him down to 1 health points, he puts you into a spirit phase. And when in that spirit phase, you can pick up the second half of this shattered Bojo, I don't know how we're pronouncing this. Let's call it a trinket. You pick up the second half of this, and when you combine the two, it gives you a quest. That quest actually sends you all the way over, I can show you quickly, into Zandalar, into Zuldazar, actually, in fact, and even into Dazar'alor. This is the Horde main BFA city. If you've played Alliance, this will be a little bit foreign to you, but towards the southern part of here, there's a guy that's chilling in here. You hand the quest to him, and he in turn actually then becomes a NPC in the dungeon. This fella. That was the TLDR. Please, please, please don't try and follow that TLDR. Take a look at the Wowhead guide. It will make a lot more sense to you. But moving swiftly on, once you've got this fella unlocked, you'll notice that he has a whole bunch of recipes that you can purchase from him. There's a couple of ensembles, some full sets full for you to collect as well. But they all use these random currencies that you may not be aware of. These are new currencies that will then start dropping in the dungeon once this NPC has arrived. So let's take a little bit of a look at those, and let's see where the gold-making opportunities start to come from. So you have these coins. I think there's 9 different variations of the coins. These can drop from most of the mobs in the dungeon, and they're not bound in any way, shape or form. So the luxury here is that if you need more of these, you can buy them off the auction house. And if I'm brutally honest, my recommendation for most would be, if you do need them, buy them. Don't worry too much about farming these. The time it takes to farm them probably is not worth their value. Certainly not by 100 or so gold a piece. You don't need thousands of the things, so just buy them, buy the exact ones you need. What you're really looking for, to begin with at least, is these bijous. There's rare bijous, and there's like 6 or 7 different variations of these. Now, these are bind on account. These means you can't buy these off the auction house, so you are going to have to go out and farm some of these yourself. But once you've gathered a bunch of these together, you can send them to whichever characters you need to buy the recipes on. So you don't strictly need to be farming this dungeon on your crafting characters. Now, this may start to paint the picture that alt armies have got a really big advantage with this. If you happen to be one of those players that over the years has just leveled up many different characters, because this is a heroic only dungeon, one of the factors of that is that you can only kill the boss once per day per character. So as you can see, all of these bosses on this character, at least, I've already gone through and I've killed them. And on that basis, it means I have to, like, you know, wait till tomorrow to kill them again to get some more loot. If you've got 10, 15, 20 characters and you can run through this 20 times in a day, you're going to have access to these patterns much quicker than average Joe. Once you've run through here and once you've killed the bosses a few times, the dungeon is pretty simplistic. There is a couple of interesting mechanics. These 4 at the back here require you to have archaeology for you to spawn them. So I fully understand if you have to miss this one, you get one of the 4 bosses. You're not missing out on 4. You're only missing out on 1 if you don't kill this boss. And the boss in the middle, Jindo, the Godbreaker, has an interesting mechanic where he has chains, and you have to go get one of the big troll dudes that's standing around the edge to come and smash the chain for you. So there's a little bit of an interesting mechanic there, and you've got to make sure to remember to actually kill the 4 guys around the outside before you aggro the boss, because it's the spirits that he summons back up. It's some interesting mechanics that caught me out once or twice. But once you get the hang of it, it's, you know, pretty easy to zerg through this, no problems whatsoever. But back to some of the items then. Once you've got the combinations of items that you need, you can purchase the patterns, and in turn, once you've got the patterns, these are bind on pickup patterns. The gold making opportunity from here is crafting the items themselves. Now, these items have been out of the game for a long time. I suspect there won't be huge amounts of people that will keep up with this process. There's lots of people in 10.0.7 who have dipped and probably going to completely gloss over this entire patch. They'll come back for 10.1. So the opportunity to get this done now will pay itself off 10 times over in the future as well. You can craft up some of these items once you've got them, throw them up on the auction house and see what you can do. The nature of transmog is it's a slow selling business, but often when you do sell something, you can sell it for quite a high price, which is all good. But all this said, boys and girls, this is only this is only the foundation of the cake. The really top tier gold making opportunity from here is not by collecting the coins and the bijous and buying the recipes from this vendor. It's the patterns that can drop naturally in the dungeon. All of the bosses in here have a chance to drop a bind on equip pattern, and these patterns are selling for quite literally millions. Of course, as time goes on, the value of those patterns will definitely drop, but as it stands right now, you can get pretty substantial numbers on these. I wanted to show you the Ouroboros Exchange. This is a website which I'll also leave a link to in the description down below, which is handy to allow you to see what's going on the auction house, on your realm and on other realms as well. You can't buy or sell anything through this website. It's purely information, but it's a very handy website to have favorited. And now these are the recipes and the patterns and the plans that you can find in this dungeon right now. And look at the prices of some of these. They're pretty ridiculous. There's barely a pattern for under 100,000 gold, and I'm playing on one of the highest population servers in the EU. The median prices for these are pretty much all 100 to 200 to 300k a piece. This is because they're quite difficult to get. They only seem to be able to drop off the bosses in here. I've seen very few reports of anybody even getting these at all. I was streaming for a good few hours today, and only a handful of people were able to say that they'd got a pattern to drop. And this is probably why there's such a small quantity of these on the auction house right now. But if you get the pattern, great. Good luck to you. I got one today. It's listed on my auction house for 600k. I'll report back on how I do with selling that. If the prices of these patterns tank, which is very likely, the more people that dive in here to try and get some of these, people will become impatient and the prices will drop. If you've got some of the patterns and the prices do drop, consider learning the pattern. Some of the actual appearances are unique appearances for many of these. This is why it's drawn so much attention. Plus, there's blacksmiths, I think, have got it best because they're making a whole bunch of weapons. And some of the weapons look very spicy. I suspect that there's lots of people that are going to want the appearances from blacksmithing specifically. So, if you roll the dice and get really, really lucky, you know what to do. But that's the opportunity that's afoot right now, boys and girls. So if you've got a few characters that are not really doing too much, once you've unlocked the achievement, you don't strictly need to be level 70 to clear this dungeon. Most of the mobs in here are level 35, so I would suspect anybody sort of in the 50, 60 range plus will be able to insta-zerg through this, no issues whatsoever. Run through, kill a few bosses, get some loot, get some patterns, get some stuff crafted, and get some stuff sold. If you're looking for stuff to do between now and 10.1, this should keep you pretty well occupied for a while, and I hope it makes you some gold at the same time. If you've got any questions, leave them down in the comment section down below. With it being 10.0.7, a patch launch, I'm streaming quite a lot at the moment. You can probably tell from my voice I'm not in the best of health. I have got man flu, and it's getting the better of me, but I am still putting in the time to stream and playing lots of the game because it's good fun. But leave your comments down below on this one, boys and girls. Let me know if that was helpful. There's 2 links in the description. One to the Wowhead post to get the unlock done firstly. You can read through the rest of that guide. It goes through a bit more detail as well. The second link is the Oribos Exchange website. Check them out as well. They're really good. But give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Consider subscribing if you're new around here. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.